Good morning. Good morning. I hope you guys are having a fantastic Tuesday. Welcome to Tuesday Training. We are here every Tuesday morning live in the Syndicate right here in Austin, Texas. We're shooting from Syndicate headquarters, having a good time. We got a great guest. And as always, the goal is a very simple goal is to make sure that we bring you guys actionable content, stuff that you can go take out to the marketplace, put in your business today. What is up, Mr. Moore? It's good to see you. Hope you're having a fantastic morning. And as always, before we just jump into the show, what do we have? Well, we have some news. So with that said, you guys know I always like to point out a little fraud in the world, and there is definitely some fraud going on. Right here in San Diego, a local dentist, ex-office manager, pled guilty to Medicare fraud. Imagine that. If you read the article, it'll tell you that an Imperial County dentist and his office manager admitted Tuesday in federal court to conspiring to defraud Medicare and covering it up. Dr. Javad Agalu pleaded guilty to conspiring. I'll get that word right in a minute. To commit healthcare fraud by billing Medicare for procedures that were not covered. Man, we hear about this all the time that people are doing this. This guy, check it out. Here's an example. Once a Medicare beneficiary was in Agalu's office, Agalu and others performed some type of procedure, usually a tooth extraction, and submitted false claims to Medicare using the person's Medicare beneficiary number. And since tooth extractions are not covered by Medicare, Agalu's offices instead submitted false claims for procedures like bone grafts that were never actually performed. Over 7,000 false claims worth over $18 million were submitted by Agalu's dental offices between March of 2016 and October of 2018, and they received about $8.5 million from Medicare. So there's another great example of what we can do to clean up the Medicare program, and fraud is a big one. Speaking of not so much fraud, but let me reshare that. This is a good one here. You guys will like this one, because I know I've got some PNC people out in the space out there. Check this out. 10 states are suing FEMA to block higher flood insurance premiums. The federal agency that helps people cope with major storms is facing its own tempest. 10 states are suing the Federal Emergency Management Agency, also known as FEMA, to halt its new pricing system. And it says right here that the National Flood Insurance Program, or NFIP, FEMA created a risk rating 2.0, aiming to replace the previous flood zone categorizations with more accurate risk assessments. That seems like it makes sense. But risk rating 2.0 uses catastrophe models, actuarial science, and private sector data to determine its risk-based pricing. Well, it estimated that the new methodology, fully implemented in April, raises insurance premiums for about 77% of policyholders. NFIP insures about 5 million households. So in response, Louisiana, Florida, Idaho, Kentucky, Mississippi, Montana, North Dakota, South Carolina, Texas, and Virginia, along with dozens of Louisiana local governments and levy districts, have gone to court to fight risk rating 2.0. The lawsuit filed June 1 alleges that FEMA changes flout federal law. They're arbitrary and capricious, and they were enacted illegally. The plaintiffs say that FEMA has overstepped its authority, and its new pricing does not properly account for community flood mitigation efforts, such as the building of dams and levees. And if you cruise a little bit further, you will see that it says that the average NFIP policy nationwide under risk rating 2.0 will cost $1,808, a $920 jump from the previous $888. However, not everyone's going to experience a rise in rates. Nationwide, 23% of policyholders would see an immediate decrease in their premiums, according to FEMA. So it's a little confusing on who's going to get jacked and who's not, but it goes on and it gives you some states where you're going to see rates go up, and it gives you a few states where you'll see rates go down. The notable states are obviously in the South, where you see a lot of floods. You got Florida, Louisiana, New Jersey, North Carolina, and Texas, where people that will see decreases would be Arkansas, D.C., Maryland, Missouri, and Utah. So I know we got some flood people out there. I'd love to see some comments on that. I'll put this one out in the group for you guys to chew on and talk about. But moving along, we now have the Wild West of Medicare Advantage. I think it's been like that for a while in a lot of ways. And we have someone that's coming to our rescue, so to speak. And I don't know that they have the agent or the broker's best interest in heart. So the average adult has dozens of Medicare Advantage plans to choose from, and many turn to brokers to help them make a decision about the best option. Insurers pay commission to brokers, obviously, otherwise we wouldn't be in the business, for enrolling new and returning members in their plans. Now, what they're saying is these commissions are climbing too high. So the Association of Community Health Plans has sent a letter to congressional leaders urging them to ask CMS to implement tougher standards on limiting maximum payments to brokers. In 2009, CMS established that amounts health plans can pay brokers, $611 for a new enrollee and $306 for returning enrollees in 2023. We're getting a little raise next year. But it also says that there are no limits on add-on fees. Now, I'm a little concerned about this article and what they assume are add-on fees, because most reputable agents in the Medicare space are not charging consulting fees or broker fees on top of the commissions that they're receiving for the enrollment. As a matter of fact, most of the agents that I know that work in the Medicare space would tell you that you're a scumbag if you're charging a consulting fee or a broker fee to the client for doing evaluations for them, in addition to the commissions that you're making in the Medicare space. So they're definitely getting some push on that. I'm not exactly sure what they're referring to as broker fees, if they're just talking about the overrides that brokers and FMOs and MGAs get over the agent commission, or if they're addressing agents that are actually out there charging broker fees. But nonetheless, they are pushing, they call it their MA for Tomorrow initiative, which is a 5-pillar proposal aimed at improving the quality in the program and improving customer experience. And their big goal is to reduce the commission that's paid to us brokers. So I haven't seen anything on how we can get behind it or against it, but I'll put this article out there for you guys as well as some good fodder we can chew over. And then finally, I just want to mention this. I ran into this today as well. This just came out from cms.gov. Pretty simple. For calendar year 2024, it's talking about the participation in Medicare Advantage value-based insurance design. I'm not going to go through the whole article, but basically what it does is it talks about what they're doing for value-based model participation this year, where basically it says right here that 13 of 69 Medicare Advantage organizations participating in the value-based insurance design model in 24 are all participating in the hospice benefit component. So not too long ago, Medicare added hospice not only into original Medicare in different ways, but they carried it over to Medicare Advantage plans, and they're testing that out in a lot of different value-based organizations. And then finally, it goes on to show you all of the different Medicare Advantage organizations that are participating in the 2024 VBID model. And if you look through this list, I mean, I didn't compare it, but I think it's pretty much everybody. So if you look through here, you'll see all the big names as well as many small names, but pretty much everybody out there is participating in this new hospice benefit component for VBID. And hopefully what they discover as they test it and work it out is that it works and will be something that they continue to increase and push on. So I'm of the belief that value-based insurance design is where we're headed in healthcare, whether we like it or not. It sounds great in theory. I've heard a lot of different arguments on both sides of it. And maybe that's something we'll have to tee up one day, is get a couple of people on here and debate the veracity of value-based insurance design. So pretty simple there. But moving right along, man, before we jump our guest on, I want to take a quick moment to tell you about our new sponsor, MetaZeus. MetaZeus is a new piece of InsurTech out there for the Medicare Advantage agent that will allow you to track your Medicare Advantage enrollments much faster than you normally would be able to do from the carrier side. Basically, it's going to create a situation where there's no more surprises. This is a CMS and HIPAA compliant piece of software that will give you damn near real-time reporting on your Medicare Advantage apps. So what it will do is it will alert you in the event that one of your apps is flipped. Now, when I write Medicare Advantage apps and I happen to lose that business at some point, whether maybe it's an app that gets flipped during AEP or OEP or through one of the many SEPs that have been running around, normally, and you know this if you're out there in the Medicare Advantage world, normally you don't find out about it until you get that charge back 2 months, maybe 3 months later, that you actually find out that that app has been canceled or flipped to a new plan. So what this does is it allows you to monitor your book, and within 72 hours, you would be alerted if one of your customers flipped to a new plan. So to give you kind of a real world example, if you're writing business during the annual election period, maybe you write someone in November, right, for a United Healthcare plan. 72 hours later, you get a notification on your MetaZeus dashboard that says, hey, that app you wrote for Miss Jones on United Healthcare is no longer the app. Somebody went and flipped her to a Humana plan. And then now, because you get alerted so much quicker, you can reach out to that client, find out what's going on, if that plan is truly in her best interest. And if it's not, maybe get that enrollment canceled and get a proper enrollment for them. So this is an awesome piece of tech that I'm just now starting to use. In addition to monitoring apps that you've written previously, you can actually upload your whole book, and it will ping back everything straight from CMS that will tell you everything you need to know about your book. It will tell you the current app, if there's a future enrollment in place, when that goes into effect, et cetera, et cetera. It's an awesome piece of tech. And if you're out there writing Medicare Advantage business, it's going to help you increase your retention, which is going to increase your lifetime value of your client. So I highly encourage you to check it out, and we'll make sure you get some information on that in the group as well. But without further ado, we have the man of the hour coming on. I met this gentleman virtually through Facebook. We've had a couple of conversations by phone, and I'm actually going to be speaking at an event that he is hosting in Scottsdale this January called the DTDW event, which means do the damn work. And that's definitely one of the biggest things in insurance that I believe agents fail at, or that agents that are failing. That's a big reason why they're failing, because they're not doing the damn work. So I'm excited to get to speak at that event. I'm excited to get him on the show. And we're going to talk about some ways that you can triple the ROI that you're making on your book without having to go chase new clients. So without further ado, let's get him up here. What's going on, Mr. Carson Porter?
Hey, how's it going, Tony?
I'm doing fantastic, man. How are you?
I am good. I'm well. It's bright and early, and ready for a new day,
Absolutely, man. That's a great thing about what we do for a living. Every day starts at zero. So every day is a new day, time to go tackle it and do your thing and build your book. So a lot of people in our group, I know you, but a lot of people in the group don't. So if you don't mind, just take just a quick moment, let everybody know who you are and kind of what you're about and what you're up to.
Yeah. My name's Carson Porter. I like long walks on the beach. No, I have my own insurance firm, High Point Insurance and Advisors. We focus on primarily life insurance, wealth management concepts. I do pretty damn well with cash value life insurance. That's really the space that we've taken over. But I started as a multi-line captive agent, home, auto, life with American National Insurance, and had a good 5-year career there. Was a top producer on a national level for 5 years before leaving and deciding to go more into the life and financial side of things. But yeah, along the way, we decided to do, I was coaching people. Tony, you know this, when you become a top producer, your phone starts blowing up. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? And it got to the point where, I just, believe it or not, I have this bleeding heart. I can't say no to those phone calls. And I struggled a lot worse back then. And my wife was like, what the hell are you doing? You gotta bring home the bacon. You're going to have to start charging these people if they're going to take your time where you can't go be doing that damn work you're talking about, and bring it home that way. So I started doing some coaching, and that's turned into this whole mastermind that we have as well. It's not attached to my firm or any IMO or anything. We've got captives and independents of all kinds. And but yeah, we've got several hundred people inside this mastermind at this point, and we continue to grow every day. And so we do that. We run our own firm, and recently just made the decision to start putting more time back into our own firm as the mastermind's kind of gotten off the ground the last few years. I can trim back on that a little bit, and that's what we're up to. We do a lot of things, but I think above all of them, really it comes down to two things, and you've already hit on both of them, in your announcements. Number one is, if I'm going to show up, I'm going to show up excellent and always act in somebody's best interest, whether that's in the capacity of being a mentor or a coach, or with a life insurance policy, an annuity, some other wealth management concept, some other financial instrument even, and then doing the damn work. The operative term actually being the.
Mm-hmm.
Most people think the operative term is work. Everybody freaking works in this business, but there are very few people who are disciplined enough to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm up to, is doing the work.
Income producing activities, right? Not
Yeah,
just busy work. I think that's
yeah,
what you're getting at there when you're talking about that.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. We can all be busy. We can all go spend our money doing dumb things. We can have 100% of our time eaten up, uh, and have nothing to show for it. Or we can be disciplined enough to stay away from the things that eat our time, to be intentional enough to know what pays us for our time, and then to only do those things. And that's really, I found, one of the keys to not only being successful myself, but helping agents become successful, is helping them recognize, what takes you closer to your goals, and what doesn't, because the things that don't keep you from them.
Yep.
So
Give me some examples of that. What do you think are some of the things that an agent should be doing that are always going to keep them closer to their goals?
daily marketing. I think that I'm a big believer in it. And, your capacity as a marketer changes. It changes as your agency grows. And there's different forms of marketing. Sometimes you don't want to be the one out knocking doors or whatever, so you buy leads. Cool. You need to be calling those leads daily. Eventually you grow your firm enough to where you've got people underneath you, and it almost feels beneath you to do some marketing, but you need to be doing marketing regardless. My
Mm-hmm.
capacity, may not be to go pound the pavement anymore and beat down doors asking people to buy life insurance or whatever the case may be. But every single day I should be hitting on, we call it an ROIG plan. It's a 3-point plan every day. It takes an hour or two a day maximum. And in that hour or two a day, I guarantee that I made the money I needed to make today. I've got more scalable money coming in over the next 30 to 45 days. And I have really scaled money coming in at some undetermined point in the future, but I've been able to hit all three of these marketing points in a couple hours. So I've guaranteed my today, my tomorrow, and my forever in a couple hours. Now I have the rest of the day to go do something else. Well, too many agents, number one, new in the business, like you said, they don't want to do the damn work,
Mm-hmm.
and they sit here and all they want to work on is the scalable stuff. Well, that's why they never get their shit off the ground. They can't afford to be in business long enough to actually scale. Right? You got to get paid today. And
Yeah.
that get paid today stuff, it's hard stuff. It's pounding the pavement. It is knocking doors. It is getting out, shaking hands and kissing babies. It's picking up the phone and making sure you make 100, 200 dials today. That's the stuff that's going to pay you today. Nothing else will. Like hand in hand marketing is the only thing that's going to pay you today. Networking won't pay you today. You can't go and have a good coffee with somebody and guarantee you're going to get a referral you have a transactionable opportunity on, right?
Right.
But that's one place that I think most agents fail, but even most agents that don't fail, agents start making 100, 200, 300, $500,000 in 5, 10, 15 years in the business. They burn out and sell out at a lower multiple than they should have to. Why? Because their agency doesn't have the levers, we call them exit levers inside of it, to command a higher multiple. All they're getting is a multiple on book revenue rather
Right.
than business value. That business value comes from always running. I may have 5 people in my team, but those 5 people, they're doing their ROIG daily. They might be pounding the leads or pounding the streets, but I'm also still doing it. I'm out shaking hands and kissing babies, meeting with other business owners to partner on a big deal that I can turn over to my team to work, but I'm the one that's got to bring the big deal in, or meeting with vendors or meeting with whatever, I may not be chasing that little life policy or Medicare policy or health policy or whatever right now, but I'm chasing something. And if I don't do that daily, my agency will fail to grow profitably the way that I want it to. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is a great topic. And I know we want to get into some of the other stuff, but real quick, like, how would you define the difference between sales and marketing?
yeah, sales. Well, I guess let's start with marketing. Marketing is the sourcing of opportunity, right? Sales is the conversion on opportunity. So
Perfectly
marketing
said.
is me finding more opportunities to put in my pipeline. Sales is what I do with it now.
So sometimes I feel like there's a difference in some agents, like agents that aren't great marketers. They have to sell harder versus agents that are great marketers. They can sell a little easier, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And one of the beautiful things about this business, regardless of your line of business, your primary line, or if you only chase one line or whatever, is that we all get to build it the way we want to build it. And you can be phenomenally successful in whatever regard. I love that about this because we really can take it and make it our own. Um, but yeah, for some folks, sales comes a lot more natural. I'm just going to tell you now, at least in regards to life insurance, whether it's term insurance or something cash value or something on the advanced market side, I need a lot less opportunities than somebody else does to have the same or even better result in not just app count, but premium volume as well.
Sure.
But it wasn't always that way, Tony. I came into this business from the automotive repair trades. I was born and raised in it. My old man had shops. I had shops. Those were my first businesses I owned. And when I came into this business, I sucked. In fact, literally 2-3 months before coming in this business, the guy that recruited me in was trying to sell me a life policy after switching over our home and auto and saved us a bunch of money. And, we were super grateful and everybody knows the story. And he's selling us life insurance. And I'm like, dude, Robert, just shut the hell up. I'm like, you're about to not get my home and auto business. And he looks at my wife. I'm already pissed, by the way, because back doing in the auto repair days, I was doing 80, 100-hour weeks. And he made me drive across town to his office during my lunch break, which I didn't take lunch breaks ever. And so here I am. It's not like I'm losing a lunch break. I'm losing money. And that's a big deal. So I'm already pissed off. I've been under the hood of a broke ass Ford all day and greasy as hell so that he can run through some auto insurance stuff. Great. Then he wants to take more time to go over life insurance. And he looks at my wife and he's like, don't you feel like your husband doesn't care about you, that, he doesn't want to get a life insurance policy to protect you? And that pissed me off.
Sure.
Really bad. And that's an age-old sales tactic, and it sucks. Does it work for some people here and there? Yeah, but you'd have a lot better results doing other things, folks. But yeah, I just told him, I was like, look at her. She's gorgeous. That's her life insurance policy. I mean, she'd be better off if something happened to me. She's going to get a doctor, a lawyer. I tricked her the first time around. She's wiser now. That was 2 months before I came in the business. When I got in the business, I almost failed out. I couldn't explain life insurance. I couldn't explain the difference between bodily injury and property damage or anything else. I sucked. I really, really sucked. So how did I get to where, to your point, I don't need as many opportunities to have the same or better result at this point? At bats. Did I do a lot of studying and I've invested in coaches and courses and all this stuff? Yeah, I've done a lot of that, but that's a whole nother area agents tend to fail in the business at, is they try to study their way to proficiency, and it doesn't happen. You can't study your way to proficiency in this business. You got to get your ass out of bed in the morning and get to work and know that, yeah, you're going to burn some leads, but it's a game of numbers. And if you'll go through enough leads, you're still going to make what you need to make, and you're going to get better and better and better along the way. The person that burns 100 leads their first month, but is able to have 50 conversations, is a year ahead of the person who tries to in the beginning, when they know nothing, pace those 100 leads out over the next 10 months. I'm a year ahead in business because I had more conversations, more at bats. So, yeah, man, I don't know if that answers your question at all. But
yeah, no. That's very well said. I love it. So, the people tuned in because they want to understand how they can triple their ROI, right? Without having to just go chase new prospects, right? Without just having to sit there and pound the phone over and over or find new prospects to put in their pipeline. What are some of the thoughts on that?
Yeah, so it's actually interesting you want to have this conversation. I was telling you, it's one that I have often, and I'll literally be down at the Farmers Insurance mega conference in Scottsdale next week, speaking to the top farmers agents. I think it's farmers agents with a book value, home and auto book value over 10 million or something like that only.
Okay.
And this is exactly what they wanted me to come down and talk about. How do you profitably pivot? And primarily, I'm going to talk about life insurance, but it doesn't have to be life insurance, right?
Sure.
One of the parts of this presentation that I give is talking about Gold Rush, right? Have you ever seen the show Gold Rush?
I have not.
Okay. Recommend it. Great show. It's I enjoy those kind of shows, Discovery Channel shows, right?
Okay.
But on Gold Rush, you find that there's two ways to mine for gold. And that's what we're doing here in insurance, right? We're mining for gold, right? And what they do in the beginning of the season, the gold season, they're up in Alaska, is they have a new plot of dirt, or maybe it's a plot of dirt that they had before they just couldn't get to or whatever. But in the beginning of the season, they bring in all the big tractors, the earth movers and whatever, okay? And they start going through this dirt, and the whole idea is move dirt. That's the first way to find gold, to make money. At this is you just move more dirt. You scoop it out of the earth, you dump it in the top of your graders and your whatever machines, and it sorts through, and you find all these nuggets. The problem is some folks get so caught up chasing nuggets that they run out of dirt, and when they run out of dirt, they don't know what to do. So interesting as you're watching the show towards the end of each gold mining season, right, where the ground starts freezing, it's too hard to start digging more, or maybe they've already dug through the ground that they had and they've already moved that dirt, and now they made all the money they needed to pay their bills and to cover the cost of the equipment and whatever. They made a little bit of money, but there's not a lot in the profit margin. They may have made millions at this point, but not much of it was profit. It's all been paying for the right to do business.
Mm-hmm.
So what do they do at the end of the season? What they do at the end of the season is the second way that you make money and find gold. And it's you run the dirt you've already moved through a finer filter. You find more gold in the dirt you've already moved. You quit chasing just the gold nuggets. And so they end up swapping out their equipment and converting a bunch of their equipment the second half of the season. And they run all that dirt that they've already moved. They don't have to pay for more dirt. They don't have to go buy more land. They don't have to go scoop up more dirt and find more whatever. They take the dirt piles they've already run and they scoop them back up and run them through a finer filter, through a finer screen. And at the end of the season, they start weighing things out. And in gold nuggets, they might have a couple $1 million worth of gold nuggets. But in the real fine gold dust that they find through those finer filters, they've got $5, $10, $20 million running the same dirt through a finer filter. And that's when we take that principle and we apply it to our own agencies, our own firms. That's how we make money at our own firms. We have our primary markets we're really, really good at. That's your gold nuggets. Okay. That's when I buy leads, or when I'm paying somebody to go get leads for me, or I'm going out to get leads. Those gold nuggets are what keep me cash flowing enough to actually afford to do so. But once I've gotten those gold nuggets, I can go through, if I have 1,000 leads and my conversion rate on those 1,000 leads is say 10 or 20%, right? I've got 100 new customers on 1,000 leads, and I'm just, round numbers here. Okay. But I have 900 people who there might be gold there. They just didn't want, or I didn't have what they needed in that particular area, let alone the fact that I've got 100 people here who have a whole lot of other problems that can be solved that I can get paid for. I just haven't solved those problems yet. I don't need to go buy more leads. And now I said we do RYG, our marketing stuff, every single day, and I'm a big believer in that. But my friend, we're talking an hour and a half to 2, maybe 3 hours a day maximum. What do I do with the rest of my day? I run my finer filter. And that's, that 2 or 3 hours a day guarantees that I pay the bills, have the money, to afford the right to be in business, and even maybe get to take a little home. I get all day, the rest of the day, to run my fine filter and build my profit margin. And that's how we extract more out of these books. So Tony, a case in point, if I'm a Medicare agent, what's a finer filter for me? Well, Medicare might be my gold nuggets, but I sure as hell can get paid on health insurance. I sure as hell can get paid on life insurance. I sure as hell can get paid on annuities. I sure as hell can get paid on a lot of these other things. I don't even have to do them. In fact, I could literally if I don't want to do any of those things, we have so many agents that are so stuck on, I don't want to do that. Great. That's fine. I don't want to do all that either. You know what though? There's a lot of other people who do. Mm-hmm. And I don't even have to hire them into my agency and have the headache of payroll and this and that and the other. I can come and say, Tony, I don't do Medicare, but I have thousands and thousands of clients that I've sold over the years, and tens and hundreds of thousands. In fact, I think right now we're sitting on almost 1 million pieces of data as far as leads go. I have all this stuff, and it's never been farmed for Medicare. If you and I work together, I'll kind of transition some of this stuff over to you. Let's sign an agreement between us, and any Medicare you pull out of it, just slice me off a little piece, right? Pay me for the dirt that I've already moved. That's a
Absolutely.
I don't even have to do anything for that. All I have to do is give it to you to work.
Yeah. That's a finer filter and based on other people's efforts as well.
Yeah. And so I love doing it that way. I also love bringing in, okay, well, I did the life insurance, or maybe I did the cash value stuff. Let me bring in a term specialist. Let's start coming through for mortgage protection, or bumping accidental death and dismemberment off of auto coverages, or income protection, or any of these more term-based plays, buy-sell agreements, and go after those specifically. And maybe I don't want to chase those, but it's not hard for me to put somebody in a seat and let them go through the same dirt I've already moved. I don't need to go buy more dirt.
Absolutely. Yeah. I built a Medicare referral program specifically for that, right? For agents that they're talking to the same people I'm talking to as far as Medicare eligibles, but they're not selling Medicare. They don't want to sell Medicare, right? I'm like, well, let me help you. Just here's a simple TCPA compliant referral form. If they're interested, fill that out, shoot it to me. And then I talk to them, I make a sale, and then I kick you out some cheddar. So pretty simple concept. What do you think prevents agents from going back to their current book and presenting new opportunities, new products?
Yeah, I think a few things. Number one, agents get too busy doing work, not the work. The isn't necessarily your gold nuggets. The is whatever pays you best. That's your moral obligation as an entrepreneur. You're going to hire someone to your team and then do less than optimal activities. That sounds stupid as hell, right? So you have this moral obligation to optimal activity all the time, but agents get bogged down in what was optimal yesterday. Well, what was optimal yesterday may not be what's optimal today. So yeah, they just get stuck and don't pivot. Scarcity. A lot of agents, we do something similar on life insurance. We work with a lot of agencies. You don't want to sell it. I get it. Here's a compliant form, kick over the referral, make sure you have the appropriate licensing in place, right? But when you kick that over, if we get the deal locked down, we'll give you a 30%. That's not bad for doing nothing more than giving a referral. Our average life premiums, they're thousands and thousands of dollars. You can make $1,000 at 30% for just kicking over a referral, or more. And but agents get this scarcity mindset of, oh, well, I don't do the advanced market stuff. I could refer you my advanced markets life insurance, but I do term. And if I send you my advanced markets, you're going to steal the term. No, let's just sign an agreement here. We literally have it built, and it shows us. We call it once your client, always your client is what our program is called. And we literally tag it when you referred over. We're only chasing what you referred over. It's your client. We're acting as an extension of your firm in this regard. So you don't want us to sell term. We won't sell term. Or if the client asks us about it, we're going to come to you first before we ever even respond to the client. And so it works out really, really well that way. But agents just have this scarcity mentality where if someone else does it, I'm only getting 30%. Well, 30% of a whole lot of business is a whole lot better than 100% of the nothing most agents are doing with their own book.
Absolutely.
So I think that's why.
Yeah. What is your gold nugget product? What is your lead product that you start with?
We've got several. We're big enough at this point. We get to have gold nuggets in different areas.
Okay.
But for me,
let's pick one.
For me personally, it's going to be advanced markets, wealth management stuff. Not even necessarily life insurance.
IULs and annuities.
We'll do product line is going to be IULs, whole life, and annuities primarily. But when we get into advanced markets, a lot of times we'll have layers of tax services, tax mitigation services. So we'll partner with CPAs. We built our own, called a pseudo family office for this. We'll have layering and structuring of corporations sometimes, and some other components. But yeah, on the product chassis on my side, primarily we're going to use cash value policies and annuities for that, for a myriad of different solutions to solve a myriad of different problems. That's my big golden nuggets. That's what I want to chase. But
Right.
if I go talk to 1,000 people uh, in this, there might only be on advanced market stuff, the stuff I really want to do. There might only be 10 or 20 out of 1,000 that even fit the ticket for it. What am
Mhm.
I doing with everybody else? Well, they might be a good ticket for a standard IUL, a standard whole life policy, a more standard annuity concept. They might be a good client for, I can't tell you how many buy sell agreements and key man policies we've written for business owners that didn't fit the ticket for like premium finance or something like that. But they did need, you had 2 or 3 business partners and they needed $5 million 30-year terms on every single one of them. Well, shoot, it takes me 30 minutes to knock that out, and total premiums between those 3 policies, 15, 20,000 bucks. If I'm getting 90, 100, 110, 130% for my 30-year term, is that not worth my time? You bet your ass it is.
Hell yeah, it is.
So, yeah.
So let's kind of take this a little step further. If I'm an agent out there and let's say IULs are my thing, or life insurance in general, um, and that's my gold nugget, and I've got a good book of people that I've got on IUL and maybe some term. What do you think is probably the best next filter that I should go to?
Um, I think you've got several filters. Number one, every single one of them needs property casualty insurance.
Okay.
There's no reason you don't get paid on that. Go partner up. So here's a beautiful thing, Tony. You don't even have to become a property casualty agent. Go get the
Right.
license. That's easy. But do you know how many property casualty agents right now, because of compressing commissions and regulations, they're starving. They can't afford to buy more leads. If you literally handed them a book and said, "Hey, here's 2,000 clients that I've sold over the years. Let's go through them and see if we can help them with home and auto." Maybe they've got a 20% conversion rate. So there's 400 clients right there with an average premium of, say, I don't know, 2,500 bucks a piece. You do the math on that. There's a book of business right there in and of itself. Slice me off 20%, 20% up front, 20% residual. Now I have something that's unique to a life insurance agent. I've got a paycheck coming whether I sell business today or not. Might not
Yep.
be a huge paycheck, but I've got a few $1,000 a month. I didn't even have to do the work. All I had to do was be willing to settle for 20% of something I wasn't doing anyway. So I think property casualty is a super easy one, and quality property casualty agents will make that deal all day long. All day long. The cost of acquisition on a new account when you're buying leads, typically you don't even pay that account off for anywhere from 12 to 24, 36 months.
Right.
They're paid off day one. They have money in the profit margin. They didn't have to spend a dime on acquisition, right?
Absolutely.
So it works out well. I would also partner up if a lot of your book tends to be older, or if any of your book tends to be older. I don't care if you have 10 people that are 60, 65 plus. I'd be linking up with a Medicare agent. I'd be linked up with a health insurance agent. Let them run health insurance on your book. Maybe they can help your clients. Maybe they don't. But the ones they are able to help, you can get paid on. And when you're linking up with a good agent, again, it's this moral obligation thing. How many, if we took 100 insurance agents, Tony, and said this number are good agents and this number are pieces of shit, not because they're bad people, but just because they just don't have the training, resources, or even the financial stability to do it right. There's a greater chance folks are buying a policy from somebody who's not doing a good job in business, and they're going to bounce from agent to agent to agent, right?
Absolutely.
Well, if I care about my book, if I really say I'm that benevolent, I'm going to go partner up with a good Medicare agent or a good health agent. And now, even if my clients choose not to buy from them, that's okay. My clients have the opportunity to do business with Tony Merwin, who's going to do a much better job at this than, XYZ Joe Blow down the block, who's not doing what it takes to sell policies the right way, to be compliant, to do all these things. I at least gave my clients the opportunity. I can lead a horse to water. I can't make them drink, but I've got that moral obligation to lead them to water. And by God, I can get paid for it. Cool. Let's do it.
Absolutely. So taking that a step further, right? So let's say I've got my big book and I'm on with what you're saying. You know what? Just like Ryan England saying here, hey, I want to find a PNC agent, or maybe I met a PNC agent. Looks like he's got a great shop. What is the best practice for that next transition? Like here, I'm going to give you my book. You're going to go sell them some PNC and you're going to shave me off a little bit of the cheddar. What do you recommend for how that PNC agency then now goes after that book of that you've presented them?
Yeah, I think two things. Number one, I'm a big believer in contracts and agreements. I know everybody's like, well, if you can't do a handshake deal, not everybody. There are those that say, if you can't do a handshake deal, I don't want to do business. And you know what I found? They were the only people to ever try and screw me over.
Generally, yeah.
I'm just like, I'm saying it. I'm going to call a spade a spade. I'm tired of pussyfooting around it. I like to lock everything up in a contract or an agreement. So that's the next step. Get a contract or an agreement signed. Like we have a template for ours, and we literally just put it in place. It's done and done. Then you want to define some SOPs, some standard operating procedures. Here's what's going to happen. Here's what the client experience looks like. Here's what my experience looks like. Here's what your experience looks like. It takes 10 minutes to map this out, folks. But now you have some expectations, because anytime you're going to do anything in business, let alone something like this, you've got to have accountability in place, right?
Yes.
Well, accountability cannot exist where expectations were not clearly defined and communicated.
Correct.
So define them and communicate them, and now we move on. Now we can hold each other accountable. Not just me holding an agency I'm going to give my book accountable, but them holding me accountable as well, right? And we don't need to get in the semantics of why they would need to do that right now, but they absolutely need to. So once we have all that laid in place, what I think is the best thing to do, there's two ways to go about it. Number one is the referral base. Hey, we're now set up, and I've got a client there, and they ask about it. I don't do it. I'm going to kick them over your way. In fact, I'm going to go a step further. No, Mrs. Jones, I don't do health insurance, or I don't do Medicare, but I've got a guy or I've got a gal. I'm going to go a step further so as to, in my presentation, and actually we'll do it in our fact finding process, because we do financial inventories on every single policy. So in our fact finding, we know their age, we know this, we know that. I'm just going to go ahead and throw in an extra question. What are you doing for your Medicare insurance? I don't do Medicare insurance, but if we're going to insure you appropriately, life insurance wise, how do I make sure I'm insuring you appropriately if I don't know what I'm insuring for? Right. So what are you doing for Medicare? I'm just going to get a couple notes.
Yeah.
So I'll actually ask about it and then build a warm transition. Well, I've got a guy who does a really great job. Can take a look at your stuff if you'd like him to, and can help you bop, 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 bop. Right. So I'm going to go a step further, because I want to farm for that opportunity, not just have it come passively through. And in 15 seconds, I can farm for an opportunity for a Medicare pass off,
Absolutely.
a health pass off, a reverse mortgage pass off, a forward mortgage pass off, a home equity line of credit pass off, a debt settlement services pass off. I farm for all those things, all those. Some of them you can't get paid on. Reverse mortgage doesn't let you pay somebody for that.
Right.
But if I have a client that gets helped out by a reverse mortgage and it helps their retirement budget, does that give them the money they needed to buy the product they wanted to off of me? A lot of times. So that's kind of the first way, is this referral base, and not just waiting for an opportunity to come in, but running the damn finer filter.
Mm-hmm.
But I've got to be intentional about that and design a question, put it on my form, and ask it every single time. Right. Then the other way to do it, and this is one of the ways we've gotten into quite a bit lately, is I want to download the book of business. So Tony, if you and I did a thing and you're like, hey, I want you to sell life insurance and annuities against my book of business, I'd say, great. Let's make sure we sign whatever we need to so that we can be HIPAA compliant, Privacy Act compliant. We want to make sure we're compliant to everything, right? But I want to download your book of business. In fact, if we need to sign documents that literally say that, at least in this capacity, I work for you. Now I'm an extension of you and your business, legitimately. You're not just handing off somebody's data to another company. It's staying within your company. And the hour a day I'm going to give to working this, I'm working for your company, basically.
Yep.
Right. So whatever we need to do to be compliant, let's do that. But I want the download of your whole book of business. We're going to dump it in a CRM. Or we'll help you put it in. We'll help you put the things in your CRM. If you're already CRM savvy, we'll give you the campaigns and whatever. And I want that whole book. I don't just want the book. I want every quote not sold. I want every lead you bought you can never get a hold of. We're gonna segment them into separate segments and run different campaigns to each. But now I might have 1,000 pieces of data that are your clients. I can have very specific conversations at that level and a really high conversion rate, because we can do warm-up campaigns where Tony is warming up his clients and introducing them. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, again, through automation, right? Just wanted to take a moment and introduce you to Carson. We decided to partner up with Carson and so that he can help our clients find creative and affordable solutions for life insurance for seniors or whatever, right? But then we can start to run some more robust campaigns on the back end talking about those individual solutions. And when people find something they identify with, they can click schedule a call on our calendars and away we go. So that's what we would do there. The people that, you bought leads and never could even get a hold of them, we're going to run a different kind of campaign to them. But we can also be more aggressive there. They're not a Medicare client. There's a lot less compliance we have to fall in line with, frankly. We can get really aggressive. What are we going to do? Burn a lead that was already burned?
Right.
So yeah, we want to hit it from all those angles. We want to, when we set these up, Tony, I want to run active marketing campaigns to whatever lead list you give me, or client list or whatever. And let's make sure that we make it easy for you to send over that live referral as well. So like you, we have a HIPAA complaint and Privacy Act compliant and A2P, like we've got all our compliance checked off, but we've got a form, just a web form built out. And it's really, really easy. So we'll actually sit down with somebody like you. We'll take 2 seconds and not just show you that, hey, if you click this link, we're going to give you a QR code you can tape to your desk or whatever. You can scan that and go right over. We'll also show you how to take that link and set it up as an app on the home screen of your phone and on the home screen of your desktop, so that when you have a referral, all you have to do is click. I've got to make it easy for you and I to make money together. We're not going to make money together.
Absolutely.
That's the next step we'll go through, is setting all those things up, being really intentional about it, as opposed to just, great, Tony says he's going to kick me over referrals. I can't do anything about how I eat or how you eat today with good intentions. The road to hell is paved with them.
Yeah.
Right. So I mentioned that RYG thing, and I know I'm rambling here, but I'll kind of close out this answer with this. RYG, red, yellow, green. Red stands for, if I do it today, I have no idea when I'm getting paid, but it's the largest, most scalable thing of all. I just have no control over when I get paid. Yellow means if I do it today, it's probably not going to give me any kind of return for 30, 45, 60 days, but it's a pretty decent return. Something like networking or email campaigns or those things are yellow, right? And then green means if I do it today, I have an option and an opportunity to get paid today, or have a transactional event where maybe I get paid next week or whatever. You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
And so we want to approach our relationship the same way. I want to find an R, a Y, and a G way to work your book of business, the relationship, the referrals, etc. Because your referrals, that's yellow. I may not get a single referral from you for the next month or two, or I don't know. I got to eat today. How can I actively work your book so that I have transactional opportunities?
Absolutely.
So that's what we do.
That makes a lot of sense. We got a couple more things I want to dive into before we wrap it up real quick. But if you're looking for a referral partner that you're like, hey, I'm going to give you my book, or hey, we're going to create a referral relationship where I can run a higher filter on my book and business to make some extra cheddar. What are, like, say, 3 things you look for in that person, in that partner?
Number one, so yeah, interview. You're hiring somebody in this regard. Okay. It's a quasi hire, but you're hiring them. So you want to interview. Number one is core values. But how am I going to know if they align with my core values if I haven't been intentional enough to take 10 minutes and write my own core values down? Mm-hmm. You know, if I value honesty, cool. What about honesty? Well, don't lie to other people. Well, no shit, Sherlock. What else about honesty? Well, be honest with other people. Okay, yeah. Be honest with yourself. Okay. When I say honesty happens to be one of mine. What I actually mean, Tony, is be willing, able, and driven to make and keep commitments. I believe honesty is an act of commission, not omission. You don't default to honest. But now, because I know that, I can ask some questions when I'm interviewing that person I think I might want to work with. It's to try and figure out, are they willing, able, and driven to make and keep commitments? Mm-hmm. So that's one of the first things I want to do. I also want to consider geography and demography on my book of business. If my book is all local, 100% local, I probably want to work with a local agency because my clients are used to that local touch. If my book is all virtual, then it doesn't really matter. But that's something I definitely want to consider. I also want to work with, so for us, technology is huge. Not that everything we do is insurtech, but I don't want to waste time doing stupid things I don't need to do. When a computer can do it better than I ever could.
Absolutely.
$100 a month. I want to work with partners. I'm not going to pass off my book of business to somebody who's so antiquated. Things are going to fall through the cracks. When we pass it off through an automated form and hook it over to their CRM to make sure it doesn't fall through the cracks, they don't even know how to log into their CRM. So I'm going to make sure they're up to speed with what my business is doing in that regard. And then the other thing is just personality, right? So I want their core values to align with mine. I want the way they operate business to align with mine. And I just want to, the people I do business with, from vendors, sponsors, other agents I'm going to work with, all the way to my clients. If it's not somebody that I could reasonably see myself going and getting a beer with, I don't want to do business with them anymore.
Yeah. I like doing business with friends.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. So
I know it's show business. It ain't show friends, but it's more fun if you can do show business with some of your friends, and everybody can profit and make more money and elevate each other.
It really is. Yeah, I agree.
Awesome. Well, man, this has been really good stuff. I want to talk a little bit about our event that we got coming up in January. Just if a couple of quick points on it, why should people come primarily?
Why should people? It's going to be a damn good time. You and I are going to be there, dude.
Absolutely.
No, we've got quite the lineup. We've got David McKnight, Van Mueller, Tony, myself, Joanna Wyckoff, Barry Rutten, and Keldon Stubbs, and others that are going to be on stage. This stage, just so everybody's clear, to get half of this lineup. In fact, half of this lineup ran an event in Chicago in I think this past summer. It was $1,800. This is $350 for you to come. I don't know that there's a more affordable way for you to come and see and experience this lineup. You're going to be motivated, inspired, educated, which most events try to do. But more than anything, the coolest part of this is it's called do the damn work for a reason, is that you are going to leave with actionable stuff. Every single speaker on stage is going to be actionable or give you actionable stuff, something you could take home tomorrow and make money with tomorrow. In regards to life insurance and annuities, I don't think, in fact, I believe there is not a more effective event to be at in 2024. I know it's a one-day event this year. In future years, we'll probably go to a two-day event. But I don't think there's a more effective event. It's going to help everybody there. Plus, Tony, this is also a unique event in that we're not really running a green room. Normally, you know this, you've done a bunch of events. If you're speaking, you hang out in the green room, you do your speech, maybe you stay and hang out in the green room and shoot the crap with the people in the back, and that's it. We're not doing that. Every single speaker has agreed to be on the floor. We have a VIP section where they're going to be sitting with the first 100 people that have registered for this thing. But they're going to be on the floor, and during breakouts, breaks, lunch, etc., they're going to be mingling the whole time. You can pick their brains. You can literally talk to them about, hey, I've got this kind of case going on. What would you do, David McKnight? What would you do, Van Mueller? What would you do, Tony or Carson or Keldon or whoever? You're going to have that kind of access all day. And like you say, there's not another event like it. So plus it's Scottsdale in January. Who doesn't want to be in Scottsdale in January?
Absolutely. I do. 100%. That's beautiful weather out there. I know when you talked to me about this event and kind of approached me to see if I'd be a good fit for it, you were very adamant in explaining to me, right, that this is not an event just to go sell agents. This is not an event just to go get in their pocket again. This is specifically an event that's going to bring value and actionable content. And you were very adamant in explaining that to me and making sure that if I'm coming to your event and I'm going to get on stage, that I am going to bring value-based content. I'm not just going to get in there and hoorah, and then try to sell them something after that. So I appreciate you for that. And that's the big reason why I jumped in board. Like, this is perfect. This is exactly what I'm looking forward to as a speaker and a guy in the insurance space. I like to give value. I like to help people go out and take information that they can put into practice to elevate their business, make some more money, provide some more opportunity, help more people.
Yeah, and I'm the same way. I always, as a young agent, hated going to events because I felt like there was so many, like, I need to get out and pay my bills, and here I am at this event, and cool, you're getting me all hyped up and rah, but I could have done that watching some freaking Tony Robbins on YouTube.
Sure.
And then the other type of speaker there was 5 minutes of some kind of value, and then 45 minutes of buy my program, join my IMO, blah, blah, blah. We're not doing any of that. It is value, and then we're done for the day. That's what we're doing. We're
Right
there
on.
to grow, and everybody says, rising tide lifts all ships. Well, that's not untrue. Just most folks use that in lieu of being part of the rising tide. We're not doing that. We're going to be the freaking rising tide, and that's what this event is about.
Excellent. What type of agent should consider coming to this event?
Anyone who wants to do more life insurance or annuities, or understand life insurance and annuities better.
Okay.
I guarantee if you are in the life insurance and annuity space, you're going to want to be there. In future years, we're likely going to really push into some other lines, Medicare, health insurance, and et cetera. But life insurance and annuities is kind of the big thing. Tony, you do some life insurance, but you're not necessarily known as the life insurance guy.
Right.
So who else would find value? Anybody who has a book of business who, like we've been talking about, could be monetized and run through a finer filter by partnering with a life insurance agent. You want to find one that has good core values. You want to find one that's invested in their own outcome and their client's outcome. You want to find one, come to this event. There's probably not going to be a better marketing or networking opportunity to find that type of agent than at DTDW, January 25th in Scottsdale.
Well said. Well said. So, man, we got a lot of great engagement. This has been a fantastic show. I really appreciate you stopping by. How do people get in touch with you if they want to learn more about Carson, maybe the Rev Agency Syndicate, or they want to learn more about DTDW, the event?
Rev Agency Syndicate is easy. Go to revagencysyndicate.com, all one word. And there's some videos there. You can click through the different levels we have, Revel, Rush, Rise. And there's some videos on those specifically. See what it is we do in our mastermind. If you want to get a hold of me, at cporter389 on pretty much all social platforms, feel free to shoot me a message. Don't be scared. Worst thing I can do is ignore you, but I probably won't. And then as far as DTDW, I can't remember the damn link for it, but I know we've posted it all over.
Yep.
And maybe we could throw a link in the comments or something.
Absolutely. We can get a link in the comments, and I know you're announcing your location for it soon, your specific location, the venue that you're hosting it at. So we'll make sure that gets pushed out in our group as well, because I am completely on board with you, and I expect it to be a phenomenal event. It's why I signed up for it, and I certainly appreciate you for inviting me, and I definitely appreciate you for stopping by on the show today. This has been a great pleasure to get a chance to kind of talk to you a little more face to face, even though virtually. So thank you again, guys. You heard it on the show, man, right? There's a lot of ways that you can go out there and mine for gold, find those gold nuggets, sift through the dirt again with the finer filter, get more money, find referral partners, and make more money so that you can grow and scale your business faster. And then we'll see you at the DTDW event. It's January 25th, Scottsdale, Arizona. You will see the link in the comments of this video, and you'll certainly see more about it coming on. And if you want to connect with Carson, just hit him up on Instagram at cporter389, right?
Yes, sir.
389. Awesome. Thank you guys for tuning in. We're always here every Tuesday at 9 a.m. with actionable content, and we'll see you next Tuesday on Tuesday Training. Y'all have a great week.
Appreciate you, Tony. Thanks for having me on.